Live from Lincoln and broadcasting across the state of Nebraska, it's the Average Joe Sports Show. This is the place for Husker sports with the biggest names, the best interviews, and all the inside scoops.
I got a front row seat with a big tub of buttered popcorn and a greasy half-live chicken leg.
Now, here are your hosts, Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel.
To it, it's the Average Joe Sports Show. Day one on a Monday. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel, and yes, Justice Rhody. 489-1240, 489-1240, 800-825-5865 to get in. Get our starting five shout-outs going here. Excited to let it rip here on a Monday. Hopefully there we go. Elijah's helping the old guy with technology. Hey, it's good to see Elijah Herbel in studio, brother, and I missed you. How we doing?
It's been a while, hasn't it?
I know.
We
still look like we're auditioning for South Park Real Life with the stocking hats. We'll get our starting five shout-outs going.
It's been that kind of weather today, so.
It has been. We'll dive in. Nebraska basketball survives. I don't know if the whiteboard did with Fred or not. So we'll dive in. Nebraska able to escape Northwestern with a win and really avoid a monster dent. That might have been a total job if we're talking automobile accidents. You lose at Northwestern like that. Nebraska, though, able to figure it out. Find and follow on Twitter, the AJ Sports Radio, at AJ Sports Radio on Twitter. Like and subscribe with YouTubes to the Average Joe Sports Show. Also, like and subscribe to the podcast that is posted. You can follow it along with this kind of the midweek and Sunday live. We will be at you 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, here on KFOR, Central Nebraska's Superstation, Kearney Hastings, Grand Island, the great folks in Central Nebraska, News Talk 900 in Columbus. So we'll hit up some Husker Baseball as they're battling Grand Canyon. My mother is on assignment. She is actually at the Nebraska baseball game, so we might be checking in with Joe Mama a little bit later today, live from the desert. Tim Verghese with us from inside Nebraska, as Tim will talk some Big Red football with us, some recruiting. All that is happening. Tim in about 15 minutes. In hour two, Mr. Blackshirt, Charlie McBride. Monday with Charlie. Coach Charlie will join us. And then Jay Moore sits down with us, Blackshirt Husker NFLer, part of the Blackshirt Hour. So, yes, we are off and running. Again, 489-1240 to get in here on the Average Joe Sports Show. So, fellas, let us dive in. How was it getting in? Elijah, I know you've been handling news with KFOR, and a lot of accidents, a lot of issues, slick and brutal weather conditions. It goes from bad to worse, not necessarily with snowfall, although that's going to stay active and after it, but it is going to be sub-zero through Thursday with the wind chill. So hold off on the old backyard football because of the propensity for frostbite. I'm not kidding on this at all. It is just absolutely brutal. Mm-hmm. Then things will ease up and let up a little bit.
Yeah, and I know there's already been some significant crashes here in Lincoln on the interstate heading up to Omaha, so be safe out there. Not as crazy as my drive home yesterday. We did the Average Joe Sports Show Sunday live edition yesterday. I was driving home, and that police chase.
You saw like the hot pursuit that suspect that had allegedly whacked one guy.
Yeah, so I was, for those that know Lincoln, we're here on Cornhusker Highway, and I'm headed over to Adams here, and I'm taking the corner across the railroad tracks, and here comes a white SUV flying past me over the railroad tracks with it started like 6 cops right behind him and 4 more cops following close behind, and I'm sitting there.
It's not me.
Well, I'm sitting there like, is that what I thought it just was? It was like a medium speed police chase going past me. And then you get all the details of this wild story, and things could have been a lot worse for me, realizing how many hit and runs and murder and all these things that happened yesterday. So that was pretty crazy, but the weather today also pretty crazy.
Well, let's dive in, and what a forgettable first half for Nebraska basketball. That was, dare I say, unholy. Very tough to watch, very tough to hang if you're a Nebraska basketball fan, tough to coach if you're Fred Hoiberg saying, fellas, we are fighting for our lives every game. 5 games left now, 6 as you went into that 2:00 tip-off. And what gives? What is it with this team? And I know they've been drained a little bit with the flu going through the team, but you can't come out not ready to ball, not ready to fight, not ready to play. And to Fred's credit, he was able to either scare or motivate or both his basketball team into a flip the switch type moment in the second half, 22-4 run. And there was the first part of that second half where it was much of the same, right? Same movie you saw against Maryland where guys are going to the rim and they're flailing at the rim and they're seeing if they can break the backboard by how hard they throw the shot off the glass, trying to draw a whistle. And you're just like, this ain't it, right? And then you're going Euro soccer with sniper top of the building that got you. And Fred specifically sat Jawan, had a chat with him, and good for Jawan bouncing back and being big time down the stretch. Who had Braxton Mia as the source of offense, getting to the rim, being that spark? I will raise neither hand.
Well, I mean,
because I did not, but they looked for him. They looked for Braxton, especially on that alley-oop that gave him the lead.
That thing got me off the couch.
Like in disbelief,
yes.
or in, all right, you're fired up.
More the disbelief of anybody to take the lead for Nebraska basketball in this moment after down 20. Braxton Mia was not in my bingo card. I about went and got a lottery ticket for myself. I didn't, but I thought about it. Insane.
10 points, 7 boards, couple of blocks, some assists.
And I know you called back to the Maryland game. To me, I'm sitting there watching the first half, and I'm starting out. I'm like, okay, it's kind of like the Washington game. Northwestern's hitting a lot of shots. They're probably going to cool off, right?
They only took 5 threes in the second half because Nebraska decided the guard.
And that's then as the first half progressed, I'm going, oh, this isn't the Washington game. This is the Michigan State game where things aren't going your way early and you roll over. And everyone's sitting there at halftime like, okay, they go up 20 with that first shot and you go, you know what, this thing feels pretty over. You stick around, though. That Husker basketball team stuck around. They kept on fighting. That was what they showed me yesterday. It's obviously disappointing just how poorly they played in the first half. I think I might be more concerned about that performance from the first half than I am encouraged by what the second half looked like. But you can sit back and say, you know what? There were games where the wheels fell off this year. Michigan State, Wisconsin. I mean, happened multiple times. This team battled through it. They brought their best in the second half, and their best was enough. So hats off to Fred Hoiberg, or maybe there's a punching joke I can make somewhere in there, Fred Hoiberg. But hats off to Fred Hoiberg.
Hats off to Fred, and hats off to the whiteboard.
And hats off to everyone from the Husker basketball team should just stick through that, because you've seen that story of them just getting bludgeoned in the first half and them rolling over. You've seen it a couple times this year already, not yesterday.
No. You look at this, Justice, and can you put your finger on it, dude, with this team where they have, and Fred talked about it after Maryland. Listen, you can't go the other way because of a disappointing result. And as mentally tough as they were to dig out from a 6-game losing streak and reel off 4, to dig out and win at Northwestern yesterday. Listen, it's a quad 1 win. It's a road win, so you're not ever going to sneeze at it. But they're arsonists. They love playing with fire. And that's kind of my biggest takeaway, where they have shown glimpses of, yes, tournament worthy. I don't discount that at all. They're a team that belongs in the field of 68. But they've also shown the ability to just go space cadet and absolutely check out mentally and sometimes physically. And it's too late in the season for that. There's too much upper class influence on this team to go that way, yet they still kind of drift into that water.
I think you're kind of hitting the nail on the head. I think it's the experience factor should be there. This is a roster full of guys who played a ton of minutes on a basketball court at the Division I level, and it's a lot of guys who are proven with what they do. Right, when you look at what Riley Boosterd put together at Utah, when you go back to what Jawan has done over the past couple of years, what Bryce has been able to put together, when you go through, Braxton Mia and what Berke Buchtenjel had in one season at UCLA, right? So this is like a veteran roster, right? And even Andrew Morgan playing a bunch of years at North Dakota State. When you look at how many minutes this team has played, it's honestly, it's baffling how inconsistent they can be at times. But what I took away from it was that same spirit of arrogance, right? Where Northwestern came out and they're like, we're on our home floor. We are on the bubble to even make the Big Ten tournament. We're down two of our best players, but we got Nick Martinelli and Ty Berry, and we will be darned if you are finding a way to stop them in the first half. And they came out with an arrogance. They punched Nebraska in the mouth, and for a large part, they got a couple knockdowns and put them flat on their tuchus, right? And that's the thing is,
underrated word.
How are they going to respond, right, when they got punched in the mouth? And Fred went back in and tried to throw a punch back. He went to the whiteboard, gave him the old right cross. Took a freaking beating right on the hand, and he said, hey, are we going to punch back or what? And they get down early, but then they adjust. Nate Lenzer makes some adjustments. The guys make some adjustments. They stick to Ty Berry. They don't let Nick Martinelli get to that left hand as much, and they just found a way, right? They closed off defensive possessions, even getting out rebounded by darn near 20, and they just close off possessions. They find a way to get to the free throw line. They find a way to finish through contact. Braxton Mia played his best game in a Husker uniform, and they found him in big spots, and he contributed. And that was the key yesterday, is they just found a way.
Oh, to be a fly on the wall of that halftime.
Well, and how many times can you, A, do you need to go to it? B, can you keep going to it? Where there's the Washington halftime, there's the Northwestern halftime. Maybe it's a purple thing. I don't know. But you need to have that beast awaken for Wednesday night. You need to come out as the aggressor like you did against Oregon. You need to come out as the finisher, and they, God love them, they found a way to finish with their defense. Northwestern, as good as they were on the offensive glass, 23 offensive rebounds, they were horrible with turnovers, and Nebraska found a way to get to the line. I mean, they listen to this. They have found a way to get 25 plus free throw attempts with their road wins, with their way to close out, and Braxton Mia and Connor Esigian had some big minutes. Nebraska's done a good job of guys that you've had exiled to the side of a milk carton be ready at different points in the season, and they've stepped up and performed well. Let's get our starting five shout outs again. This is the Average Joe Sports Show, Monday edition. Please subscribe and like to the YouTube channel, the Average Joe Sports Show YouTube channel. Follow, grow that Twitter number as well. AJ Sports Radio. That's Elijah Herbel, Chris Schmidt, Justice Rhody. Tuck is in. Tuck, appreciate you. Justin is here, also in. Kobe checks in. Kobe, good to have you. Andrew says, hi, everyone. Brian Snitley, part of the Boulder Peace Treaty. Afternoon, fellas. Brockett definitely looks better than the uniform combo they're wearing. NASCAR Eric in. Sup, fellas. Steve is here. Steve, good to have you. Arlo is in. Black Hills Brennan. Afternoon, gents. Let's have a day. Amen. The other Dave is here. Good to have the other Dave checking in. Arlo says the 14-year-old home all day. Think I came home to a scooped driveway and sidewalks? Hell no. No internet in my house tonight. Tim is here. Hats off to the Fighting Hoibergs. What a great comeback win. And I guess, thank you, Justin. My camera is, I'm trying to not be off center here. Just staring straight ahead as you can stream this.
Yeah, and Schmidt, for the people who are streaming, I mean, we talked about it a little bit in the lead off. We did a couple online shows this weekend. If you're catching us on the air for the first time, it is a new story of this afternoon slot, 4 to 6. You and me together. I had a couple weeks away. Now I'm back. Basically, new thing, Average Joe Sports Show. Hop in the stream while we're still a fresh new show. If you have song requests for intros, things that you'd like to hear
we'll
from
play
the
it
show,
for you.
I mean, It's a new thing. The world is our oyster right now. So hop in that stream. Find us on YouTube, The Average Joe Sports Show. Like and subscribe there. And you mentioned the Twitter account as well. It's a brand new thing, though. So we're excited for the future, excited for everyone who's listening. You can maybe have a little bit of influence on the show while we're getting things rolling here.
For sure. And just as an ode to the pride of Fairbury, Bill Dolman, this is the first show I ever worked on. The Average Joe Sports Show was launched 2001. The aftermath of Colorado, Nebraska. I kid you not, that was the first show.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, right. What enough alcohol that day. And it went on for quite a few years, and now it is back. Same Joe's here. Is Bill going to be a big part of that? And of course, Mark Kranak, a big part of it. Brandon Vogel, a big part of it. To the Iron Horse, Gary Sharp will pop in with our weekends and our midweeks and our weekdays. We're excited about it. Crew is here. Crew, love you. Says happy Tuesday. Says Crew, beautiful man. It's Monday. That's all right. We will get more of your shout outs, and we'll say hi to Tim Verghese. He's on the way with the Average Joe Sports Show.
Macular degeneration or dry AMD. You may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avastin-capted Pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Neil Armstrong waited 6 hours and 39 minutes to step onto the surface of the moon. Jackie Robinson waited 20 months to play his first game with the Brooklyn Dodgers. And even DiCaprio had to wait 22 years to win an Oscar. You can wait until your destination. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Now's your chance. Tackle those bigger projects with an 11% rebate on everything at Menards. Transform your home with a new Dakota closet. Build your dream bathroom and save on luxury tubs and showers. Customize your kitchen with Clearview cabinetry or start your big garage project. Get an 11% rebate on everything at Menards. 11% mail-in rebate is a merchandise credit check. Good on future in-store purchases. See Menards.com for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Watch out! You got me!
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org.
We're back with more. It's the Average Joe Sports Show with Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel.
Back into it. It's the Average Joe Sports Show. Like and subscribe. YouTube, where you can watch, you can hear us along the Average Joe Network. Central Nebraska Superstation, KFOR Lincoln. And, of course, News Talk 900. in Columbus. Tim Verghese is on the way. Husker Baseball, keep you updated on how things are going in the desert as Nebraska is looking to cap a 3-1 weekend with rivals. And inside Nebraska, we say hi to Tim Verghese as he joins us on this snowy Monday. Tim, good to have you in, brother. Thanks for joining us here on the Average Joe Sports Show. What's good?
Hey, what's good? Pleasure to join y'all. Can y'all hear me okay?
We got you loud and clear, Tim. And you know what? We're diving into a new adventure today, and excited that you're taking some time with us as well. And pretty awesome to have you a part of it.
Did you know you are now the first radio guest of the Average Joe Sports Show revamped? So
yeah,
that's
the
a
Average
high
Joe
honor.
2.0.
Yeah, we'll have the award, the plaque in the mail at some point, I'm sure, and we'll get that so you can hang it proudly above your bed or something.
Heck yes, yeah, I'm thrilled, man. I'm thrilled
or just use it as firewood. It's your call. But what's happening on the recruiting front? I know Matt Drill's winter conditioning is a thing for Nebraska as they get set to go. Really, as you look at this Nebraska football team, Tim, what are some questions and some answers you think Nebraska may be able to find out or have answered, or questions going in to this winter conditioning, this early, it's a 4-part mile marker: winter conditioning, summer, spring, summer, and then the season, of course.
Yeah, I mean, on the defensive side, I think it's especially up front, like who are the leaders, who's stepping up? You have to replace a lot. Obviously, Nash, Ty, Jamari Butler, was somewhat of a vocal leader along the defensive line. And then you look at the linebacker room, obviously no John Bullock, and so no Mekhi Bear either. So, you expect, a Deshaun McCullough to step up into a leadership role. You expect Riley Van Poppel. But you want to see kind of who else steps up. And I think that's a good opportunity here this winter for someone to do that. You think back to last winter, that's kind of where Dylan earned, kind of his leadership responsibilities and, kind of the praise of the team is just through working. And so I'm intrigued to see kind of who emerges coming out of winter and going into spring as the leaders defensively. Offensively, it's just kind of, I think it's cohesion. I think you have a good group of weapons now. You have like an art, they can go 6-7 deep at receiver, tight end, and running back at this point. Obviously not combined, not individually, but combined they can go with so many different personnel. So I think it's kind of figuring out who gets along the best, kind of who does Dylan have the best rapport with, who naturally gels, in the running routes on air and doing things like that. And then obviously the line, you kind of want to figure out with so many injuries and so much unknown and so much to replace, you kind of want to figure out who's who and who's going to be, who's going to step up. Are you going to see like a Rocco Spindler step up into a leader? How does Elijah Pritchett do, at the right side or left side of the line? I think the line's the biggest point of interest for me, both this winter and going into the spring.
A guy I have circled this winter, Tim, is Keona Davis as being a guy that can really make a jump just with the potential you saw last year. He needs to fill out the frame a little bit, but you saw the potential. You think if he fills that frame out just a little bit, gets a little bit stronger, he's going to be a guy that could be a 3-down type defensive lineman for you. That's an if. We'll see what he looks like come spring, but just want to get your thoughts on guys you're going to be watching for to make jumps. I mean, you've seen these guys in recruiting. A lot of them made it through a freshman season. Which guys are you looking for to make a jump in winter and be bigger contributors because of that come spring and fall?
Davis is a big one. Riley Van Poppel as well, obviously. I'm looking, along the line again, like I want to see who pops out. I feel like we're going to fear a young name, whether it's a freshman like Houston Quijano Torres, whether it's like a Gibson Pyle or a Preston Tuam. Like, I feel like we're going to hear one of those names in the mix along the interior this spring. And then I would also say, we look at the defensive line on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, I think Mario Buford, that's one I'm looking to make a jump. A name I keep coming back to when I think about the secondary, Larry Tarver. Like, I really like Larry Tarver's high school film. And when he was healthy, you kind of heard a lot of praise for what he was doing. And he kind of missed. He had injuries and he missed some time. But look at Tarver and Sanders. I think the two South Florida guys. I think you need a jump from those two guys, honestly. So I'm intrigued to see what we see from those two guys. I think those are the guys that come to mind in my opinion at this point. But one just from an athletic standpoint and kind of a wild card, if you want to talk about a wild card, Vincent Genatone. Like, what if it comes together? You like the athletic elements there, but what if it comes together all together this spring? So those are a couple names I'm looking at.
Tim Verghese is with us inside Nebraska at Tim Verghese on Twitter. Rivals.com is where you read Tim and inside Nebraska. From a, I guess, pecking order, Nebraska's got a bunch of different skill sets and body types. We are all in agreement. It starts and ends, lives and dies on the offensive and defensive line. That said, there are some intriguing options, some new faces, some guys that are trying to make that jump, specifically Barney, right, with as involved as he was in the offense. You got Cortez that's in town, and then you got your portal additions. Why do you believe the wide receiver room will be better? And will they be, if you believe that, will they be better early this season?
Yeah, I think they'll be better early just because you added veterans that have contributed recently in Dane Key and Isaiah Hunter. Like, I think at bare minimum, you're going to get meaningful contributions from those two guys, plus Barney. I mean, you look at those three guys alone, that's a better trio than what Nebraska had out there like all year, in my opinion. And as good as, Isaiah Nair and Jamal Banks were at times this year, I think that three is better than the three they had last year. And then you add in Hardley Gilmore, a guy that can line up inside and out, a bit of a deep threat, who played a little bit last year and can take another step. And, you listen to the way Da'Keil Shorts talks about him, the way the staff at Kentucky talked about him, and you go back and look at the high school film, there's a lot of potential in his ability. So I'm excited to see what they have there. And then you have Cortez and Isaiah. Cortez, wants to have a Ja'Cory Barney type impact in year one. He plays and it carries himself at a similar confidence level. He's more of a 50-50 ball getter, go up and get it type guy. Barney's like a shiftier type guy. Then you have Isaiah Mosey, who comes in, his father's on the coaching staff. He's well, adjusted to the playbook. He can play a couple different spots. He could play running back. He could play slot. He could play outside receiver. You kind of find ways to get the ball into his hands. And then you have a group behind them of young guys on the roster. Quinn Clark, a talented athlete that could be a big jumbo outside receiver. Jenron Bonner, a name I haven't mentioned, and I don't think we talk about enough in the receiver room as like a known commodity. A bit of a mismatch, and you guys know, you guys have been up close with these guys. I often tell people in the fan base, I don't think people understand how big Jenron Bonner is. Like, he's so much bigger than some of the other receivers in that room, and so I think that group as a whole, you just like those names I've just run through, like that's a group of guys that can all play and can all contribute at a very high level. Dana Holgerson and Da'Keil Shorts, they kind of have this year an opportunity to line up differently snap to snap personnel wise and look like a completely different offense snap to snap with the type of bodies they have at pass catcher right now.
I wanted to follow up, Tim, with Shorts and his input and impact. What's the personality? I think we know Dana's, and it's similar to the old Pirate, where there's a little bit of humor, but there's a lot of demand mixed in with what Dana wants, and he'll tell you if he doesn't like it. With Shorts, how's he able to connect, in your experience, either covering him or just knowing of him in the industry? How's he able to get the best out of young and old at wide receiver?
Yeah, talking to people both in Kentucky and Houston that have worked with him or were coached by him, the way you hear is he does a really good job of connecting with these guys. He's young, he's on the younger end, but and played for Dana Holgerson at West Virginia. Was like a record-breaking receiver for Dana Holgerson. So that's the biggest thing. He knows Dana's language. He understands. Can talk to guys from both sides of it. It's like, hey, Dana's getting on you because it's supposed to be done like this. Like, take it from me, I broke records under him, and it's more of that. Like, he relates to guys, and it means more coming from him because they've seen him have success with it under Dana Holgerson. He's relentless as a recruiter. I talk to coaches down in Houston. He flipped two receivers in the Houston area from essentially flipped two receivers in the Houston area from Texas. One, Matthew Golden, who's now a top 2-round pick, potentially in this upcoming draft, and the other, Jonah Wilson, who just transferred to Texas A&M this offseason. And so you talk to the coaches behind the scenes on how that went down. it's Dikeel Shorts. It keeps coming back to Shorts' relentless effort there. And so he builds special connections with guys where, with Matthew Golden, he just had a hard time at the end of the day turning down, Dikeel Shorts. Like Texas was calling, TCU was calling, national programs were calling, LSU. Like he had these power programs in the mix for him. And he ultimately decided to commit and stuck with Houston through, Shorts' time at Houston because of just his faith and his dedication to Dikeel Shorts. So I think that's a guy that, we're going to turn around and we're going to talk to Ja'Cory Barney, and we're going to talk to Dane Key and Isaiah Hunter in spring. And I think what you're going to hear about what they think of Shorts is going to be very high. And more than anything too, he knows the receiver position. Like this is a former receiver leading the receiver room. And it's a guy with, a voice and has a track record of development behind him. The previous guy didn't have any of that, can't point to the room and say, hey, I play this position. I was very successful at this position. Oh, and also I've produced, multiple, draft picks at this point.
It's Tim Verghese with us here on the Average Joe Sports Show. Find him, follow him on Twitter at Tim Verghese. And Tim, as we wind things down here, do want to get your thoughts. If any coach on the Nebraska football staff punched a whiteboard or a wall during halftime, who would you have your money on?
Dana. Like something's not going well in the offense. I just think that's like it comes out of halftime and it's like, yeah, I think Dana, I would have said Tony White. Obviously he's not here anymore, but Tony White would have been one. I think Dana, I don't know if I see John Butler as a punching the.
How about Rule after the Minnesota game? Rule had his hand wrapped after that.
That's true. I forgot about that.
I was going to mention, guys, I feel like, are we awfully dismissive of he emerged out of the locker room and we're just like, yeah, he just punched something probably. Are we sure that wasn't like a witch's brew or something in there? They just needed a little blade and
the dark magic comeback.
We're out of Joe Boo's tequila or rum, excuse me, and we don't have a live chicken. Let me do something. Tim, we appreciate you, man. Thanks for kicking things off with us, and we'll holler again, bud.
Of course. Sounds great. Appreciate you all.
There he is, Tim Verghese with us. Inside Nebraska, Rivals.com at Tim Verghese.
Boys basketball Tuesday night. Lincoln Northwest is out at Waverly. I'm Jeff Moats. You can join me for the play-by-play. Coverage begins at 7:05 right here.
FM 101.5, 1240 AM, KFOR.
Whether you're tinkering in your garage or tackling big projects, if you know the value of working with your hands, you know Harbor Freight. And you can be confident knowing that at Harbor Freight, you can get quality tools at prices that work just as hard as you do. Because the only thing more satisfying than a job well done is a job well done, well under budget. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Send the kids on a summer safari right here in Lincoln. The Lincoln Children's Zoo summer camps take young explorers behind the scenes to meet some of their favorite animal friends and offer tons of interactive learning fun. Space is filling up fast. Register now at lincolnzoo.org.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Hey, it's Hershey from Nebraska Outdoors and your Nebraska Game and Parks, here to remind you that time spent outdoors is time well spent. Each week we dive into fishing, hunting, wildlife, and the natural history with those that know it best. Join me every Thursday night at 6 p.m. for Nebraska Outdoors on KFOR.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer. Back at it Tuesday with KFOR, Schmidt, Carol, and Jeff.
Weather again will be top of mind with snow.
We're back with more. It's the Average Joe Sports Show with Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel.
Back with you on the Average Joe Sports Show. Kick it off our first Monday as the Average Joes. A couple of decades in between Monday shows, but we're excited to be back. Find us 7 days a week with the Average Joe Sports Show. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel, Justice Rhody. And the cast, Pride of Fairbury, Bill Dolman, Mark Cranack, and, of course, the Iron Horse. Gary Sharp pops in on Saturdays and Sundays with us. The weekends are going to be fun. It's the digital platform, the YouTube shows, Monday through Friday, live across the Average Joe Radio Network, Lincoln, KFOR Radio, Central Nebraska Superstation, News Talk 900 Columbus can hear us on air and online, as always. And like and subscribe the Average Joe YouTube channel. Keep those subscriptions coming. We appreciate that. Find us on Twitter, AJ Sports Radio. We spent some time on this Saturday morning. Wanted to reiterate love and prayers to Greg Sharp's wonderful family as we think about Greg and his courageous battle. What a warrior Greg Sharp was and is with his fight, his public fight against cancer, the lives he touched, the Husker fans he inspired, and just the soundtrack of what you love, the sports fan, the Nebraskan, with what he was able to provide on the diamond and in the football booth. Nebraska fell today to Grand Canyon 3-1. We'll kind of recap that in a moment, but just a thought, and so many of you in the stream on the Average Joe Sports Show YouTube channel, send condolences to his family and his colleagues, of course, with Ben and Nick doing the game down in Arizona this weekend, the series this weekend, and of course David Gustafson as well. So we're still thinking, we're still hurting, and I know Nebraska fans are doing the same as they're trying to process all of this.
It's someone that even if you didn't know, it felt like you knew, because the way
his family, man.
You welcomed him into your car or your living room or your combine every single Saturday. Listen to his call of the game. It felt like you got to know him. And I always come back to Stuart Scott's speech at the ESPYs when he talked about cancer and the way in which you beat cancer, how you live, why you live, and the manner in which you live. And man, did Greg Sharp just not live that out? I mean, the way he lived his life and battled courageously, kept on doing what he loved to do, kept on loving his family, kept on being the man that he always was. You come back to that. It's been a hard weekend. It's going to be a hard week. It's going to be the first Husker football game without him is going to be hard next fall. A lot of hard times are coming. This is one that's going to sting, and it's going to sting for a while because of just how great a man he was. So as you said, we kind of talked about it on Saturday. It's just still on my mind because this is going to be hard.
It absolutely will be, and Husker fans will band together and put their arms around the family for sure.
Yeah, and he's just a guy. I mean, so many people around here, whether it be mentorship. I know a lot of students at the J School got a chance to sit down with him and talk with him or learn from him. I remember whenever I was just a young Husker Vision student and the Nebraska baseball
call ride home.
The Nebraska.
Tell that again.
The Nebraska baseball team bus. It was a weekend series at Iowa, and Erstad was fired up on that one. He gave one of the more fiery speeches I've seen on the bus.
No whiteboard,
but he talked about how much he did not like the Hawkeyes and got the team all fired up. And Iowa came back late in that ball game, walked off Nebraska in the bottom of the ninth, and the fireworks started going off out in Iowa City. So the lights all come down. I'm trying to pack up my camera, and all the while, Erstad's pissed off, and the bus leaves without me. So I'm stuck in the stadium by myself. I'm like, what do I do? go up to the broadcast booth, and there's Greg Sharp and Ben McLaughlin as well, just willing to give me a ride back to the team hotel. I got to be a fly on the wall of their conversation, talking about the Iowa baseball program and Iowa City as a whole. And it's a special memory of just kind of also underscoring the type of guy he was, that there's this poor student that got stranded in Iowa City. Hop in my car.
We'll take care of you.
Hop in my car. We'll take care of you.
Just remember sitting with Greg, and JB had us over to his place and just chatting, and just so genuinely thoughtful. Hey, keep doing what you're doing with the high school coverage. And I mean, just a great dude. And then just bump into him early mornings on some of our road trips where he's getting ready for the broadcast, and always smile and think about the kick heard round Husker Nation with Alex Henry drilling that 57-yarder.
I mean, there's so many moments you think about when you think. I mean, that's one that stands out. The Alex Henry kick. You think of the Hail Mary from Kellogg to Westerkamp. Yeah. Like, that's one that stands out. For me, I remember I was driving home from Omaha. Nebraska was playing at. I guess I was riding along. My dad was driving, but Nebraska's playing at Michigan State. And that was the comeback with the Jamal Turner touchdown. I remember listening to Greg Sharp on the call for that one. There's just so many memories that stand out of like those moments that, like, the moments wouldn't be the same without Greg Sharp because of the way he called it and what it sounded like on the radio.
Captain is in declaring Nebraska football will make the college football playoff. Captain, great that you found us. We appreciate you. Game Dog is in the other part of the Boulder Peace Treaty. Brian Snitley checking in. Let's spend a second here on Husker baseball. They end the Arizona experience 2-2. You have a tough one today against Grand Canyon, and it was late inning moments in a tie ball game. You had Grand Canyon grab the first lead on a 2-out, 2-strike, 2-run double to left, and that was in the bottom of the 8th. And that was kind of an ongoing theme with Nebraska's losses, was Nebraska's pitchers did their job to get up in the count, but needed to close the deal. And that is pretty rough, but it's something you learn from. You had Jackson Brockett go 6+, 63 pitches. The other thing, though, with this, Brockett scattering 6 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, 3 strikeouts. 4 hits is it, 1 run. Not enough. It's Nebraska's offense that needs to look in the mirror today, and I'm sure they'll reassess as they head to Louisiana next weekend.
I do feel more positive from this weekend than negative, despite the 2-2, which 2-2 was fine. 3-1 was what you were hoping for this
3-1 is what you should have come away with.
It is what you should have come away with. But the positive takeaway from this, and I said this on the Average Joe show last week, and even maybe a couple weeks ago on this show, like early season, what you're looking for first and foremost, I think you feel confident that as the season progresses, this lineup will be pretty consistent for you. They're going to have off days like they had today, but I think they're going to be consistent. You wanted to find 4 pitchers, 4 guys that you can trust every single week. You can give them the ball. They can start the game for you, and you feel confident what they're going to put out there. I know McConaughey, after the first 3 innings, he got kind of shelled in the 4th, but he's a guy that you trust based on what he's put together in his whole body of work, his entire baseball career. You trust that is not going to be the performance that he is giving you consistently this year. Ty Horn was fantastic. And today, I mean, Jackson Brockett was incredible. Like the performance he put together, good enough to win. That gives you reason for confidence despite the result today not being what you wanted. I think Nebraska feels good about their 4 starting pitchers. And I feel good about the 4 starting pitchers based on what I saw this weekend. And you're going to need 4 if you want to win a regional.
Nope. And you'll put it together. You have time to put it together offensively and defensively. 3-putt checks it as well. Good to have 3-putt in the stream. More your comments. We'll wind down hour 1. It's the Average Joe Sports Show and Average Joe Sports Show on YouTube and Twitter.
Everyone in the house feels the chill. Now that the sub-zero temperatures are here, Mama has that bone-chilling stare. Your family is layered up in sweaters and fighting over the blankets. You know who to call to get the heat back on. Patriot Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Call 402-464-7411 for exceptional service at reasonable prices. Online at patriotlincoln.com.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
I'm Ryan Seacrest. First responders are people who stand for a greater purpose. They will be there for you when nobody else is, to help you, your family, your community. This is their selfless promise. This is their sworn duty to protect, to serve, to help. When you call 911, first responders show up now. Let's show up for the people who show up for us every day and every night.
Go to firstrcf.org and make a difference today.
I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. For over 3 decades, Cordell & Cordell has been on the front lines of family law. Divorce is more than just a legal process. It's a life-changing event that can impact your future, finances, and your relationship with your children. You've worked hard to build a life that you're proud of, and you deserve a legal partner who will work just as hard to protect it.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Lincoln area attorneys. 1221 N Street, Suite 801, Lincoln, Nebraska 68508.
Want to play a game with me and Dad?
Mommy's not feeling good.
You need to vaporize that cold.
Vaporize?
Yeah, with Dayquil VapoCool. It's Dayquil plus a rush of Vicks vapors.
Whoa.
Come on, honey. Let's let Mommy rest.
You guys are amazing. And so is Dayquil VapoCool.
Dayquil VapoCool, the vaporizing daytime coughing, aching, fever, power through your day medicine. And to vaporize sore throat pain, try Vicks VapoCool.
We're back with more. It's the Average Joe Sports Show with Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel.
Wanted on this first hour, the Average Joe Sports Show, Average Joe Sports Show, YouTube, like, subscribe, and follow on Twitter as well. Can watch on Twitter as well. AJ Sports Radio, the Average Joe Network. Good to hear from Greg List. Of course, Greg and Seth, good folks at Lazari's and the bar, giving me hell about the weather. Dialing up some good weather for my birthday. Black Hills Brennan is given the request money for nothing once that is a rejoin.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I'm more of a walk of life guy.
Great song.
Yeah.
Great song.
Better video. Somehow the NFL Films let all sorts of touchdown dances appear on Dire Straits video way back, dare I say 40 years ago.
But Sultans of Swing will always be the classic, right?
No, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I know we've also had plenty of requests in a Mike Babcock Grateful Dead intro.
Oh, yeah.
That's in the works. Come on.
We need to do Truckin', right? Truckin' or
Casey Jones.
Casey Jones is the obvious. Jay Downey says the band back together.
Yes, it
says
is.
LFG.
The band is back together.
Fred, in his hand, let us hear from Mr. Hoiberg. Coach got after the whiteboard, got after his squad. You got the result you wanted, 68-64. Here is Coach Hoiberg here when it comes to the whiteboard, cut 4.
A little incident with the whiteboard. The problem is, I'll never learn. I've done this several times now, and I'm on a blood thinner with my heart stuff, and I hit it, I cut it, and this thing won't stop bleeding for a while. So yeah, it was stupid on my part. Listen, in this business, you gotta play through a little pain.
That pain provided by Husker basketball in the first half, the relief provided by Husker basketball in the second half.
There was a great comment, and I'm trying to find it and make sure I get it right. Talking about the high school coach who did something similar. I think we have to go back. Yeah, here it is. It was from Game Dog.
He's talking about Chaminade basketball.
Yeah, Chaminade, his coach, so his Game Dog's cousin, his coach once punched a chalkboard, bloodied his hand, and started flicking the blood over all of the players and calling them a word that I cannot repeat on the stream here.
Calling them soft.
Wow.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. Yeah.
Well, Brian, stay warm, dude. He's out feeding. Says, bleep, it's cold. Well, he says, frick. It's only getting worse and here till Saturday. Man, it's how about the Rolling Stones? She's so cold. Could do that. Big Rolling Stones guy.
With this weather, thank the Lord, I'm going to be in Scottsdale come Friday. Bachelor party trip to Scottsdale. It couldn't have come on a better week.
You get to flake out on this? You lucky son of a gun.
Hey, the bachelor party, it's important. It's been on the calendar. It's been on the schedule. So
what's funny,
I'll be there. I'm looking forward to that.
How many upside down shots of sake will Elijah take in 2025? Will it equal or surpass 2024? No.
That was still 2023 technically.
Oh.
That was December 30th of 2023.
Gotcha.
That's how we rang in the new year. Not actually, but no.
The igloo cooler.
That has been hopefully retired.
All right, Mr. Blackshirt's on the way. Hour 2 of the Average Joe Sports Show. Coach McBride, the Blackshirt Hour, kicks off here with the Average Joe Sports Show. Average Joe Sports Show YouTube channel. Like and subscribe there.
Winter in Lincoln is no joke. Get your car ready for the cold at 6 to 6 Auto Service with their full synthetic oil change special for just $39.97.
Keep your engine running smoothly all season long with up to 5 quarts of high-quality synthetic oil and a premium oil filter.
This limited time offer won't last. Visit 6to6autoservice.com to book your appointment today. Cannot be combined. Must present coupon at check-in. Includes up to 5 quarts of oil and new oil filter. Some vehicles require special oil which costs extra. Taxes and disposal fee extra.
I occasionally have nerve discomfort in my hands, so the things I love to do
Let's play something, Grandma.
became difficult as I got older.
If you have occasional stabbing and burning in your hands and feet, try Nervive Nerve Relief. Nervive's clinically studied dose of alpha-lipoic acid reduces occasional nerve discomfort in as little as 7 days with continued daily use. Say yes to healthy nerves with Nervive Nerve Relief. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit NoTimeToWait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
145 over 92.
180 over 111. I had a heart attack and a cardiac arrest and then a stroke.
Your blood pressure numbers could change your life. Lowering your high blood pressure could save you from a heart attack or stroke. If you've stopped your treatment plan, restart it or talk to your doctor about creating one that works better for you. Start taking the right steps at manageyourbp.org.
Now I'm, trying to get better, stronger than ever.
Brought to you by the American Heart Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
Lincoln's local news, talk, sports, and weather station. FM 101.5, 1240 AM, KFOR, and KFRX HD3, Lincoln.
From ABC News, I'm Chuck Severson. FAA investigators are headed to the Toronto airport hours after this.
There's people outside walking around the aircraft there.
Yeah, we've got it. The aircraft is upside down and burning.
Tower Airport Radio from Live ATC. The Delta jet from Minneapolis crashing and flipping over, upside down. All aboard evacuated. ABC News contributor, retired Marine fighter pilot Colonel Stephen Gagnier.
Anytime there's a mishap, there's never one single reason for a mishap, but certainly one of the prime mishaps here will be the weather.
Retired Air Force fighter pilot and air dominance systems expert Jeffrey Needles.
We're seeing very strong, very gusty winds. That with pilots trying to, fight the airplane down to the runway. Maybe they got in a higher sink rate that they intended to.
All 80 aboard survived, 15 taken to the hospital. A federal judge is expected to rule within a day after expressing skepticism about a request by states to block Elon Musk's Government Efficiency Office from accessing sensitive databases and firing employees. Protests of the Musk firings all across the nation. Outside the Capitol in Washington at another protest, Peter Ketchum-Colwell, who was laid off from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
The services that the federal government provide across, Department of Education, EPA, all over the federal government are important. They're there for a reason. They're there because they're congressionally mandated functions.
Hundreds of flight cancellations today after deadly storms ripped through the South over the weekend. Governor Andy Beshear confirming at least 11 weather-related deaths in Kentucky.
The northern Kentucky area, as well as Cincinnati and parts of Ohio, have sent a large number of highly skilled, well-trained personnel, and I guarantee lives have been saved.
Extreme cold is forecast for the northern plains and Rockies as Rio de Janeiro recorded its hottest day in at least a decade, 111. You're listening to ABC News.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Snowy conditions prompt parking bans in Lincoln. Good afternoon, I'm Elijah Herbel for KFOR News. A snow emergency is now in effect for the city of Lincoln, which means parking is banned on both sides of emergency snow routes, arterial streets, school, and bus routes. A residential parking ban is also in effect on the odd-numbered or south and west sides of neighborhood streets. LTU crews are plowing arterial routes and applying granular salt pre-wet with brine as needed. Lincoln police are investigating what appears to be a homicide that happened shortly before noon on Sunday in the area of 13th and E Streets. According to a release from LPD to KFOR News, officers were called to the area about a report of gunshots. When they arrived, they found a 34-year-old Lincoln man with a gunshot wound to the chest. The victim was taken to a Lincoln hospital where he was later pronounced dead. His identity is not being released at this time until all family members have been notified.
The preliminary investigation officers determined that the victim and another individual had been walking in the area when an unknown man in a dark-colored vehicle drove up beside them. He then shot the victim.
The suspect, 41-year-old Timothy Washington, was arrested later after a chase that ended at 9th and Benton. Washington is also believed to be a suspect in a stabbing near 28th and Y that happened after the shooting. You can read the full details on this story at KFORnow.com. A Nebraska state trooper was killed during snow response on Interstate 80 today. In a release to KFOR News, the Nebraska State Patrol says the trooper was responding to a crash between Ashland and Greenwood when another crash occurred, killing the trooper. Interstate 80 will remain closed between mile marker 420 and mile marker 426 while the Sarpy County Sheriff's Office conducts a crash investigation. The identity of the state trooper has not yet been released. A winter weather advisory remains in effect in Lancaster County until 6 p.m. An extreme cold warning has also been extended. It will expire at noon tomorrow. Tonight, lows near -8 degrees. I'm Elijah Herbel for KFOR News.
When the winter weather arrives, the TV stations start their choreographed dance. The live shot from a busy street, the stock footage of the salt trucks. Yeah, that's fine. But what happens when the cable goes out? Or the power? Lincoln's KFOR reminds you to keep a battery-powered radio handy this winter. Because as much as we laugh, when we see a reporter sticking a ruler in the snow, you know some storms just aren't that funny.
Are you just as confused as I am about low T remedies? There's so much nonsense. Order here, call here, text this number. How would you know who is best? The experts at Limitless Mail are the best. It's what they do. It's all they do. They would never throw a bottle of pills at you and say, try this. Limitless Mail monitors your symptoms and levels and makes adjustments.
Live from Lincoln and broadcasting across the state of Nebraska, it's the Average Joe Sports Show. This is the place for Husker sports with the biggest names, the best interviews, and all the inside scoops.
I got a front row seat with a big tub of buttered popcorn and a greasy half-live chicken leg.
Now, here are your hosts, Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel.
Into hour two, let's get the Blackshirt Hour going. Mr. Blackshirt himself, a Monday with Charlie, Coach Charlie McBride. Coach, it's probably been 2 rounds of scooping for folks here in eastern Nebraska. How's the weather treating you up there in Michigan, bud?
Oh, 12.
Okay.
12 and it's blowing. And then lots of drifts.
So you got 12 inches of snow, huh?
No, we got 12 degrees.
Oh, okay. Well,
it's just getting colder, but it's it's shades of gray. You know what I mean? And that's all we got. It's terrible.
We'll thaw out together someday. Let's hopefully thaw out someday soon. I got to ask you this because Nebraska basketball angered many and then made many feel joy with a tight win yesterday. The difference between 2 halves of basketball, and Fred got after a whiteboard yesterday at halftime. What'd you think of that?
Well, I tell you what, I watched the game. And I about had a heart attack. I mean, when they were 20 points down, and I said, "You got to be kidding me!" I'd never seen anything like that before, except maybe in one of the girls' games I saw a 20-pointer. But that's a lot of points, and and they're always play well in the second half. And I think they get fuel injected or something.
It's one way to put it. So, did you ever
phrase this carefully?
Did you ever have a moment where you had to let the team know that what has happened isn't acceptable?
Yes, very. Yeah. Well, we played. I remember the first time I came to Nebraska back in '78. We played the Liberty Bowl, I think it was, and we went in at halftime and we stunk the joint up the first half. It was so bad. And I went off on the defense, and I looked down this way, and Tom I finally saw him. He had a program or something in his hand, rolled up, and he started hitting one of the players on his shoulder pads. And so I figured, I don't know if I did the right thing or not, because, I thought, well, that's not any good. But we go in the second half, and Randy Garcia threw two touchdown passes. I think they were both the same play. It was something like 34 ISO pass or something like that. And we scored twice and won the game. But it was that's the only time, at halftime you're making adjustments most of the time. And that's kind of what you have to do. But then you have about 2 seconds afterwards, and some teams will split their guys up and go with your coach, in case there's some things that he wants to tell you, that happened. And some teams, they wait now. And we played the national championship game. we're in the locker room. We can't go anywhere. I mean, you're locked in but when you're at home, we were home. We could break up in different places. So that's, I don't, each team has a different way of doing things, but we spent most of our time, going over the adjustments and things like that, I make a game plan ahead and behind. I don't, there's two ways to look at it. Some people just have a game plan and that's it. But I always had two game plans. One, when they're ahead, they do certain things, and when they're behind, they do certain things. And they throw the ball maybe a little bit more, or they run more screens and draws, or they use, So, those are the things you go over. You go over a little bit like, with the linemen, you just go over the fact that where the backs are lined up and some of the things that are different. I know I wanted the first down, and then we played one of the teams. They threw every time they played us, they ran it every time. So I took that and then told them to put it in file 13.
It's Charlie McBride with us here. And Charlie, as we go to the stream chat here, Game Dog wants to know what was said the 1981 game against Auburn. It was in the rain at Memorial Stadium, 17 second half points. He wants to know what was said in that halftime. I mean, wasn't the best start to the year, wasn't the best start to that game. He says the Turner Gill era began in that game, and he wants to know what went down in the locker room.
But, well, everything's different every week. It's according to the atmosphere. I mean, it really is. Sometimes, you got the players that can handle a little bit of action, and really get on them a little bit. And age has something to do with it too. If you don't have any seniors and you don't have, you kind of get on them a little bit better. I mean, more if they have to be. But, halftime, sometimes you'd be surprised. Sometimes when you're getting hammered, it's better off not to yell. You're better off just to go in and try to get things straightened out instead of wasting your time screaming. And, because a heart attack doesn't help the team, if you have one right in front of them. I mean, or something like that, and most of the time it's really a time for not necessarily for screaming. It's the atmosphere. It's it's the way things happened. Dumb things are happening, then they need it. Then you get a little carried away. But if you need to get straightened out and a whole bunch of stuff, then that's the important thing. And so you stay away from the yelling.
We just got an email in. You remember Andy Means, don't you? Longtime coach of Millard South.
Sure.
Well, Andy's like, yeah, I can confirm. Coach McBride was so ticked off about the old Liberty Bowl halftime. He was a red shirt. That's the most I've ever heard he and Coach T.O. yell. I never saw either of them that mad in the 3 years I played.
Well, I felt like we were both split up, and I was at one end, and there, I was going on somebody, and pretty good. And I looked down to see if Tom's usually pretty quiet. I guess I hadn't been around long enough, but he started whacking this guy's shoulder pad. I said, "This is really fun, isn't it?" But what really happened was that I turned around and there were three guys at the door, and I said, I said to him, "I don't come in your office, so don't come in mine." And because I didn't know who they were, and they must have heard me going on. I didn't want outside people to hear it, and they were Board of Regents.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
did you successfully kick him out of your office?
They're out of my office. They went. They just turned around and slowly moved out.
Charlie McBride is with us here on Monday with Charlie, the Blackshirt Hour. You're playing North Carolina. I think that was pre-Lawrence Taylor. Well, Lawrence was a freshman on that team, so I don't know if freshmen could play. But North Carolina, that was the Elvis. So you guys had the old Elvis program rolled up and were smacking folks on the old shoulder pads. Memphis, Tennessee, the Liberty Bowl.
Well, there's things that I kind of remember in that game that we came at halftime. One thing we found out that they were in motion a lot. They were in two wing sets, kind of one on each side, and the guy that split 2 yards was the guy that was always in motion. And so we knew right away which way they were going to go with motion and stuff. And I don't know how they must have had it timed up, that way so that the back in motion was just a little bit wider than one, and one was real tight. And so the secondary knew that, and it helped us a lot. I think Jimmy Pillen, or Governor Pillen, excuse me, was I think he intercepted the pass that cost them the ball game. Really,
Okay.
it was a close game, but we won on defense again. Everybody says, they talk to Tom about everybody, and they talk about the quarterback all the time, but nobody talks about the lineman ever. So we have a saying that we're the lowest thing on earth, and that's whales up on the bottom of the ocean. And there's only one thing lower, and that's coach.
Charlie.
So linemen always get the short end of the stick, kind of. It's it's always the special teams, special guys to get the receivers and the running backs and so forth. And but I do know one time we got the I guess you get $1,000 from Chevrolet or something. They gave it to the whole defense, so that made me feel better.
The old Chevrolet player of the game, baby. I like it. Charlie McBride's with us here. Monday with Charlie, the Average Joe Sports Show. Coach, I wanted to get your take on Nebraska. You had Coach Rule sit down and hit a bunch of different things in an hour-long interview. Josh Pate with 24/7 Sports did it. We're going to get more into some excerpts from it tomorrow. But one thing that was talked about was wanting elite standards, but you've got mediocre results. 7-6 does not presume to equal elite standards, but that the standards are being set. You're trying to reach those goals, and the goals moving forward is to be a team that's contending for the Big Ten, contending for a playoff spot, up and up, right? That's the want from all parties involved. How did you treat what was expected and yet deal with maybe a tougher season record-wise? How did you navigate that?
Well, we got to a point where we weren't talking about winning the conference championship. We were talking about winning the national championship. Because in order to win the conference, national championship, you got to win the conference. So that kind of fit into that part of that deal. But I think that that what we did was most of the time I kind of, I don't know, it changed so much, Tame, but I'll tell you, you all know, everybody knows that kind of the standard was winning 9 games. That was the first thing that I kind of ran into when I came here was, of course, we win 9 games every year, and that was number one. I mean, I think each kid knew that. And then it got to a point where 9 wasn't good enough. And then, then we started winning some more. And we had, at times, we had trouble winning bowl games, and we changed a lot of our stuff. And once we changed our practice schedule and our routine so that the players had some more time off a little bit, we got better. And so there are, different things in different times. But the 9 games was kind of a standard that it was just, it was kind of the standard for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the fans and everything was, 9 was 9 games that we never had gone below 9, not 9 wins. And, which we have since I was there. And, they may have done it before, I know it, but that was kind of the beginning of it. And then it got to be the standard was the national championships, because we were getting close, and and so we were talking about it. And there were times when we didn't make it, but to win the conference championship, like I said, you had. I mean, the national championship, you had to be conference champion. I mean, there's no other way to say, that was it. So
Charlie,
that's all I know. I can only put it, that way, I guess.
Well, Coach, that was fun to hear about, and we will run you down again next week. You stay bundled up, all right?
I'll be there.
All right. We'll talk to you next Monday. You stay warm and get out of that snow. Thank you much for hanging out with us.
Okay, I'm going to stay warm for sure. Okay.
All right, Coach.
Okay, thanks for having me. I'll talk to you next week.
All right, Coach.
Okay,
Appreciate you.
bye.
There he is, Mr. Blackshirt, here on the Average Joe Sports Show. Jay Moore is coming up. Like and subscribe the Average Joe Sports Show YouTube channel, and on Twitter, AJ Sports Radio. Jay Moore coming up here with the Average Joes.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us, too, in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Come in and try the Good Feet feeling today. Comfort, energy, performance, and pain relief at the Good Feet store. Visit the store for a free test walk at 27th and Pine Lake Road across from South Point Mall near PetSmart or at goodfeet.com.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
The best thing about Nebraska winters is planning for the spring. Hi, this is Chris Goforth. Join me and the experts from Earl May every Saturday morning for In the Garden as we help you prepare for the upcoming spring season. In the Garden, Saturday mornings at 8:30 right here on KFOR.
I'm in the car next to you on the highway. I sit in front of you on the bus. I'm one out of every 6 Americans, and I'm struggling with hunger. This isn't an uncontrollable epidemic. There's enough food in this country to feed every hungry person. Please, visit feedingamerica.org today and find your local food bank. Every dollar you donate helps provide 7 meals for those around you, quietly struggling with hunger. Together, we're Feeding America.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Trust is a foundation of any strong relationship. It's earned every day.
At 1011, it's the way we cover the community we call home.
Working hard to fact check, verify, and get the story right.
It means alerting you first to severe weather and preparing for what's ahead.
It's telling the stories that bring us together and make us proud to be Nebraskans.
Trust Cole Miller, Madison Pitch, Chief Meteorologist Ken Shumick, and sports director Kevin Suits. The most watched, the most trusted. That's 1011.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Terry's Tiny Homes, Terry. Sure, as the only employee of her company, Terry was probably the front runner, but saving money getting personalized discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive, well, that gave Terry the edge. Over Terry. Terry. Keep awkwardly chanting your own name, Terry. You deserve it. Woo. Be your own Terry. See if you could save in as little as 7 minutes.
We're back with more. It's the Average Joe Sports Show with Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel.
Back with you, it's the Average Joe Sports Show. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel, Justice Rhody, Blackshirt Husker NFLer Jay Moore is here. Big Red wrap-up at JMoore44 on Twitter is where you find him. Jay, is the drive scooped?
It has been scooped. Almost debating on if it needs to get scooped again, unfortunately. I waited till like 1:30. And it might need to get shoveled again. The snow just hasn't stopped. And just kind of adding to this painful week of weather. But luckily, the back end of it next week looks good. So just got to get through a week here, looks like, boys, and then knock on wood. I'm not calling it early spring, but next week sure looks a hell of a lot nicer.
Well, Jay, I'm not sure how innovative you're feeling today, but if you already got the one scoop and now there's like the dusting back down that needs a secondary scoop, I think this snow might be powdery enough that you can pull out the leaf blower and just.
I know it. I thought of it. Yeah. I think there's something to that, Elijah. I've definitely that's gone to my brain. I've already got a workout in. I already got a scoop in. I don't need a third workout. So I think that the leaf blower is a good call. That might have to be a quick one just to do the walks, and especially just the walkway up to the house, just for safety measures.
Or the flip side of innovation is the little guy old enough to go get shovel work in?
Yeah, he's 8. He probably could, but here's my problem. I'm a little type A OCD on stuff, so it's
You're
just
not
piss me
doing it
off.
right.
I have to go out there and
again.
do it again anyways, because he's not going to do it the way I like it done. So I'm all about efficiency. Let's until he's old enough to really handle it. I'll handle it for now.
Until he's old enough to do it right.
Yeah.
Correct.
Again. How many times did you hear again in practice?
A lot. Review. Do it again. Repeat. That's not good enough. Oh yeah. Not too many times to tell. I mean, there's thousands of repeats.
So was it Blake?
That's what you do. Get it right till you can't get it wrong.
Was it Blake? Was it Wagner? Or was it Billy C screaming?
Oh,
again?
You know what? I'd like to think, just in general, I mean, just from high school, not even at Nebraska, just in all my different sports endeavors, there's always something. D-line wise, we were pretty good. Usually we beat up on the offensive line pretty good. That Coach Callahan, a lot of times, he was the worst at do it again. I mean, the spring ball practice, I think heading into my junior year, which was in the 2005 season, it was the first spring when Zach Taylor got here. The defense, we were killing the offense in a scrimmage one day in Memorial Stadium. It was supposed to be a pretty short scrimmage on a Saturday. I think we ran just the ones in general. I mean, it was insane. I mean, I'm talking like over 100 plays in a scrimmage. You don't even run that many plays in a game. And Callahan was just, again, give me the ones again. Give me the ones again. It got to a point where Kaz was completely off script. He's like, we're asking what the hell's going on. He's like, we're 40 plays over the amount that we were supposed to have in practice, because we were just killing them. And Callahan was pissed off, but rightfully so. He wants to get it right. But also it felt like a bit of, oh gosh, what's the movie with the 1980 USA hockey team?
Miracle.
Miracle. Yeah.
Miracle, right? Miracle on Ice. The whistle again. It kind of felt like that a little bit at times during that April 2005 timeframe.
I'm just imagining Jay standing on the front porch with a whistle in hand, giving this speech, question his son's toughness while he's out scooping the front drive.
and then Junior, who could be mistaken for a junior high linebacker, because little Mav ain't little. All of a sudden, little Mav goes home alone with the shovel on dad, and there's no more whistle, and again.
Yeah.
Huh,
Yeah,
you hurt an old man? Is that blood on the snow, old man?
Listen, I still got it in me. He can mess around and find out, if you know what I mean.
I'm afraid of that moment where I complained to Junior, like before I was leaving, Mama threw down some toilet paper that one of the three beasts, brought up, halfway chewed up, and he was getting ready to leave for his girlfriend's. And I'm like, oh, so you didn't see the 7,000 shredded different piles of toilet paper you were supposed to pick up from the landing and put in your bathroom. And he kind of just looked up at me from the sink, says, oh, yeah. It's like, guess what? Guess what you get to go pick up before you get in the old Carson mobile and ice skate over to the girlfriend's house. And he gives me that look, but he's not ever talked back. And he's up to 205 right now because all he does is work out and visit Mark McGuire. So,
Picking up the Balco labs.
A little bit. It's Balco Jr.
So you're telling me it doesn't get better as they get older?
Well,
they
it'll be all
leave
right.
crap all over the place and don't notice anything and just leave, clothes. There's just, I said, why is that there?
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, I have to pick that. Yeah.
Hey, man, we try.
Yeah, well, the thing is, though, is like I'm just letting the world know that if it ever gets to him challenging Dad for the heavyweight belt of the home, I am using a weapon.
Self-defense.
It is.
Do what you got to do.
Right.
You got to do what you got to do.
40 pounds on me.
Well, we all learned a lesson from Fred yesterday.
Yes.
Is you got to make sure. I mean, your fists aren't what they once were, Schmitty.
Well, sure, right. That's where we slip on a shock collar while he's asleep. But let's go to basketball.
We're going to get Child Protective Services calling us if we talk too much.
Even on a snow day, they will dial up quickly.
Though, right?
Yeah, no.
It's just a little board of education.
Not the first nor the last. Taking the kid to a bar when he's 2 months old. Wonderful. Someone's got to drive. Kidding. So as we get back on the cliff here and hang on, Fred was ready to jump at halftime. That's as bad as I've seen in a long time. Clearly, it's as bad as he's seen. And it was Fred versus the whiteboard. And lo and behold, 22-4 run later, Nebraska survives. But that is an encapsulation of why Nebraska fans are so spent this season, because you know how good they can play, but you know how on vacation they can be at times. And it shouldn't be at this point in the year where you got to figure out a reason to get excited to go.
Yeah, that's the puzzling thing too, because it'd be a little more understandable if you had a team full of freshmen and sophomores, but this is an older team, and I feel like these little lapses, and I get it. There's lulls in the season. Man, hats off from the battling out of it, and whether Fred had to get stitches or whatever in his hand from the chalkboard, but it's frustrating at times that it has to come to that, because you have Bryce and you have Jawan, you have guys that play a lot of basketball and who whether here or other places, but unfortunately, they just get into this this little bad lapse of basketball, and it was bad. I mean, that was poor of a basketball I've seen Nebraska play in some time, and we've been through some poor times with watching, whether it's been with Fred or Doc or Tim or whoever it is. We've seen it all, and that one was up there with not even almost scoring 20 points in the first half of a Division I basketball game, and then they come out and turn it over, and they get a three right off the bat in the second half, and they're down by 20. But that was a battle. I was kind of in and out most of the game. My son had basketball yesterday, and at times I was like, I'm kind of glad I can't watch it because of his game. But then once I kind of saw them get clawed back to get within single digits, and with 6-7 minutes left, luckily next to the basketball place, there's a couple local establishments, and I was able to sneak over and finish watching the game. And man, they battled back. Mia was tough late. Bryce was as toughness as usual. Jawan was good. Connor made some big time buckets. Until Burke gets back, they got Penn State on Wednesday night. It's going to be a bit of a grind and a bit of a challenge. Just had another bigger body, another scorer in there. But they figured it out, and that's hard. That's first win, and I didn't realize this. The first win in 10 years at Northwestern yesterday. And we called it. I said they always struggle playing at Northwestern. They always struggle at Penn State. But I realized it's been 10 years since they've won at Northwestern, and now they are 8-2 in the last 10 matchups against Northwestern. They've always had a number. So that was a battle. Out rebounded 46-27. But Nebraska made 22 free throws to their 5. So that was one of those games. You look at the box score and like, how did it happen? And mainly is because they got to the free throw line, made them, and then got some key stops at the back end and got some buckets. You'll take it. Hopefully you'd think there'd be enough learning lessons to this season that it doesn't happen again. But I'm sure there'll be times where Fred has to go nuclear again to get him to get how to play and to remind them what it needs to be. But they needed that win big time. And they got another tough one Wednesday night up in Happy Valley, because that's another tough place that they have not played well historically either.
Jay, did you ever witness any coaches go nuclear on whiteboards or lockers or walls during halftime? Is that anything you ever experienced?
Gosh, I'm thinking back. Definitely not in high school.
You guys didn't lose in high school, though.
Yeah. I mean, in Nebraska, it rarely happened. I think some coaches were, pretty calm and collective at half. You kind of got to know your team, too. I think, unfortunately, Fred's done this, I think, a couple times at half, and the team's responded. So I think he has to lean on that a little more. But if you had a team that doesn't need that, it can respond with other types of criticism. But apparently they need that type of criticism and that kick in the rear end to get going, because it's been happened a few times this year. But honestly, I don't remember a lot of times. I think coaches have their ways. Football's different because it's 11 guys. You're kind of linebackers in one area, defenses in one area, or D lines in one area, the secondary is in one area, and then usually before you maybe head back out at half, you kind of get together, and that's when a D coordinator might lay into you a little bit. But I can't remember there ever being a broken clipboard or whatever it is. But I remember, verbal abuse sometimes, but nothing ever broken. If my memory recalls, and a lot of the stuff I was called, it definitely is not repeatable over the airwaves.
Multiple abuse mentions already in this.
We might have our title, just verbal abuse. Yeah, I like it. Good to hear about the verbal abuse being that fuel needed. We'll have more from Jay Moore. It's the Average Joe Sports Show. Like and subscribe. Spotify, iTunes for the pod, and yes, the YouTube channel, the Average Joe Sports Show YouTube. Jay Moore continues after this.
Boys basketball Tuesday night. Lincoln Northwest is out at Waverly. I'm Jeff Moats. You can join me for the play-by-play. Coverage begins at 7:05 right here.
FM 101.5, 1240 AM, KFOR.
Are you tired of buying new shoes because of pain and discomfort in your ankles, knees, hips, feet, or lower back? Maybe you don't need new shoes. Maybe you need high-quality support in your shoes. That's where the Good Feet store can help you. Like Teresa.
I was in foot pain for 20 years, trying to give it relief, buying all these different insoles. I bought all these products and not a single one worked. I really, truly needed to have relief in my feet. And the Good Feet arch supports were what gave me the relief I needed. I can wear these arch supports in all my shoes. Cowboy boots, running shoes, walking shoes, flat shoes, heels. Makes me so happy. If you ask my husband, he will crack up because there is no store I would rather go in than a shoe store.
Live the life you love. Come to the Good Feet store today. Visit the store at 27th and Pine Lake Road across from South Point Mall, or book your free fitting at goodfeet.com. Good Feet arch supports are proudly made in the USA. Come in and take a free test walk today.
Your wife says you're crabby. Your kids say you won't get off the couch, and you're sick of hearing about it. Find out what's really wrong by having your levels checked at Limitless Male. Our lab testing is in-house, so within 15 minutes, Limitless Male will know if you have low testosterone. And if it is low T, our medical providers will offer alternatives to get you on the fast track to a better you. So don't monkey around with wannabe experts. See the real men's health experts. Free consult at limitlessmale.com.
Now at Menards, save big money on everything for your next project. For over 65 years, Menards has been the destination for post-frame buildings. Whether it's for protecting equipment or you just need a place to keep your toys, Menards has a post-frame building for you. Get a free estimate fast, in-store or on Menards.com. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Get the hard truth from someone who's seen it from the inside. Hey, this is Dan Bongino. As a former NYPD police officer, Secret Service agent, and host on the Fox News Channel, I'll bring Nebraska an honest perspective on the day's events. Join me, Dan Bongino, weekdays from 11 to 2 on FM 101.5.
We're back with more. It's the Average Joe Sports Show with Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel.
Jay Moore is with us here. It's the Average Joe Sports Show. Like and subscribe to YouTube as we launch day one of the Average Joe Sports Show. The AJ Sports Radio or AJ Sports Radio on Twitter is where you follow as well. Jay, going to switch gears to some Nebraska football. Josh Pate sat down with Matt Rule. We touched on that a little bit to start things off, but the topic and the clip that kind of made the rounds virally was, you know what, having an elite standard despite a mediocre record. And I want to get your thoughts on that navigation Nebraska's a part of as they head into year 3. They've done well in the portal. They continued to develop the high school ranks, specifically on the lines of scrimmage. They're not done shopping from the high school ranks, but it's a big year. We all know this, but I think it's a pretty optimistic year. It is every year, but this might be finally the year it gets all put together. You look at schedule, you look at home games, a big part of that schedule, and you look at some of the coaching additions where, I mean, Nebraska will be able to match wits, I think, on the sidelines and in the headsets, and they continue to acquire talent with some pretty high-level coaches. So, yeah, Nebraska has been underwhelming, specifically in November's, and are you confident that changes big picture and then smaller picture when some of those grinding months approach Nebraska head-on?
Yeah, I'm always confident heading in. I think it's going to be, much better improved. And I think there's some validity to year 3 under Matt Rule and his success at other places, Temple and Baylor. Obviously, a lot of, year 3 was his best years. And then I don't think he ever had a year 4 at any of those previous places because he got upgraded to a better job. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of signs that says it should be better. I don't know, finishing 7-6 last year, obviously better than year 1. They get 8 wins next year, much improved. I don't, the schedule lines up, got some tougher competition early in the year, but the Big Ten, we just know it's always it's a grind. And you got to be all 3 phases, as we know, it's got to be on point. Otherwise you're going to get exposed and you're going to lose close games and no other. I mean, that's what we've learned. And that's what we've witnessed and experienced for 10 years now. even though it's been we're going on to year 14 of being in the Big Ten. So whether, I think the other positive thing, you said it, Smitty, the coaches, I had to replace some with the other great coaches. Again, a guy from the Kansas City Chiefs, the secondary coach coming from Central Florida, keeping Butler on staff, and obviously his pedigree of being, in the NFL and being at Penn State and having experience in the Big Ten. But then you look at the guys you get through the portal, and the resources that we have to get those guys. I'm talking about offensive linemen and the wide receivers that we picked up. Very integral pieces that we need for this offense to kind of get over the proverbial hump and help Dylan have a really good second season as a sophomore. Defensively, we had lost a few guys from the transfer portal, but we have some young guys coming back that I am very, very high on, and some other guys that we're able to pick up in the portal as well. So everything lines up, and it says, yes, it should be better. It just, I guess I forget maybe the most important offseason coaching hire is bringing Mike Eckler in to get the special teams right. That's big. That's how you win close games, is special teams. That's flipping the field. That's getting points in the red zone by field goals. It's getting your snaps, getting those hidden yardages in the return games, getting that extra first down on a punt return or off a kickoff return, being great, having great coverage skills, stealing some possessions here and there when you can. So I think that might be the hire that kind of gets you over that hump and get you some more of those one-score losses become those one-score wins. So there's a lot. I mean, there's 8, 9, 10 different aspects that I just brought up that makes, I don't see any reason why year 3 can't be better than year 2. Do I think it's going to be college football playoff worthy? I'm not ready to go that far yet, but I think they're going to be in the upper echelon. I'd say I'm comfortably saying they should be respectfully in the top 6 of the conference heading into November, and then where you want to be and potentially have a chance to be in the conversation in November to get themselves in the position to make the playoff, or be in the conversation to get yourself to Indianapolis to play in the conference title game. There's a lot of good pieces that they can build on. And they've had the experience, the coaches, the players. They have all the resources. They got all the new facilities. They got the NIL funding. Everything's there for them now. Just go out and do it. And I know the standards are there and have been preached, and the expectations are there. And just got time to go out and do it. And no time like the present to go do it.
And Jay, when you talk about the present right now, it's winter conditioning for Nebraska, getting that work in the weight room, mat drills, getting some stuff done on the practice field as well, getting the work in now to get those results in November. How hellish is winter conditioning? Like the weather outside, and then it's hell inside in the weight room. Like, how bad is it?
Winter conditioning isn't that bad.
Okay.
Summer conditioning, I think, is worse, just because there's more running involved. Winter conditioning is, there's some tough aspects to it, but really, it's, for me, I've never experienced a Coach Rural winter conditioning, but when we were at Dave Kennedy, Coach K, in our winter conditioning, I will say though, the first winter conditioning when Bill Callahan got here, they kind of put us through a 2 weeks of hell, a boot camp, like Hell Week, like if you want to refer to like a Navy SEAL situation. And I'm pretty sure we had about 60 to 70 guys quit in those 2 weeks, but that's what they're trying to get to do. Nebraska, I think we had over 200 guys on the roster at that time, so he's trying to thin it out. But that was brutal. That was tough. That was 6 a.m. in the old Cook Pavilion. You had to get there by 5 to get ready, walk over there. That's in the middle of winter. That's in late February, early March. Walking over the Cook Pavilion in the dark. That was brutal. But other than that, I mean, you're lifting 4 times a week. Those are hard lifts, but you're getting bigger, you're getting stronger. Running as much was more speed based for us. We were doing that a couple times a week. But we never really had any grueling, tough, Friday morning workouts. I think, their mat drills that Coach Rule's doing they're a little more like that. But I thought summer conditioning was way tougher because we ran every day. You lifted and ran. And 2 of them were conditioning. Well, actually, they all were conditioning. Some were more conditioning and some are more speed based. But there's something always conditioning based toward the end of it. And then you're on the turf and Memorial Stadium or in the cook or running stadium stairs and it's 100 degrees and the heat index is 120, that's tough. So for summer conditioning was always a bigger battle for me than winter, but every place is different. And I know the mat drills aren't the easiest, and Coach Rule, likes to use them to create leadership, and you get that mental toughness, up another notch.
Jay Moore is with us, the Average Joe Sports Show. Big Red wrap up at Jay Moore 44. Jay Bird will holler next week. Appreciate your time, and send us a pic of the old driveway.
All right, we'll do, boys. Thanks.
Good to hang out with Jay Moore. It's the Average Joe Sports Show, 7 days a week for you. Winding down this Monday edition. It is almost Joe Mama time. My mom was at the Nebraska Grand Canyon game today. We'll get her feedback on it. She better have a drink poured out on the patio. We'll see if she can move it outdoors. We'll wind down a Monday next.
Save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time. The next time you're out to dinner with friends, you can order the shrimp cocktail for the table. And maybe you'll realize it only comes with 4 shrimp after you've already given away 3. But that one shrimp will be so good. And if you switch and save hundreds, you could get shrimp all the time. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For shrimp. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
I'm Sia, and I support Humane World for Animals, formerly called the Humane Society of the United States. Together, we have created a new version of Peter Gabriel's beautiful song, Salisbury Hill, to celebrate Humane World for Animals and everything they do. Enjoy the song and join us in helping Humane World for Animals end animal cruelty.
I'm Ernie Hudson, actor, cancer survivor, and father of 4. As a dad, there's nothing I wouldn't do to protect my kids from cancer. The human papillomavirus, or HPV, can cause 6 types of cancer, but the HPV vaccine can stop cancer before it starts. Girls and boys should get the vaccine at 11 or 12. And there's a catch-up option for teens and young adults.
Can you guys hear me?
More information, go to preventcancer.org.
During tax season, your info travels lots of places you can't control.
W-2 arriving from payroll platform 3.
Everything criminals need to steal your identity is on your W-2.
Last call for accountant and home office, 1 minute.
LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points per second.
Tax preparation data centers with service to IRS. All aboard.
If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
If you're worried your friend may be struggling, remember, you don't have to be there to be there.
You could say, how are you, or get a fake tattoo. You can ask with an app if it works for you. You could chat on the game, kick off your flip-flops. You can ask on your couch while you binge watch.
We're back with more. It's the Average Joe Sports Show with Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel.
Winding down a Monday with the Average Joe Sports Show. Like and subscribe the Average Joe Sports Show YouTube channel, AJ Sports Radio. Follow on Twitter. We head to the desert. A lovely mother, Joe Mama, is in. Are you in the living room?
No, I'm at a place called Bobby Q.
Free shout out Monday. All right. See if they want to do some advertising. We'll do every Monday at 5:50 with Joe Mama from Bobby Q's. Just get us some tea time. What the heck happened? I mean, great ball game, tough one for Nebraska. You were there seeing Nebraska wrap things up in the desert. Really great win against Vanderbilt. Big time win as they blew out San Diego State yesterday, but they end up going home 2-2. It was really fun to see Max Butenbach go yard yesterday. Of course, we love the Butenbach family. Carson's buddy Will Jeske. How was today? All sorts of red there. You were with friends.
Yes. It was a beautiful day. First of all, 72 versus 8 degrees?
It was, it got down, it got up to 4.
Oh, okay, good. Well, we thought, it was 1-0. We thought, okay, we need a little cushion, but that didn't happen. And we went through about 4 or 5 pitchers, and they all looked good, but they just didn't have the right stuff.
And the one positive we talked about back in hour 1 was Jackson Brockett looked great as a starter, but yeah, once he turned it over to the bullpen, oof.
Well, it's like we questioned why they pulled him when they did, but we're just in the cheap seats, so.
You keep playing that armchair quarterback, Joe Mama.
But we had a great time. It was a sea of red all along the first base side, clear out to the right field. So Nebraska showed their colors for sure, and it's encouraging to see the young players. I think they really did want to win. They just couldn't quite get the trigger pulled today. So.
Well, some pretty clutch hitting by Grand Canyon, too. We're talking 2 strikes, 2 outs, and a double.
And it was, we had some great double plays and exciting plays that showed up, but just too little too late.
So what's on the docket now, Joe Mama?
Well, we're here with friends, and we're having after dinner, after game drink, I guess, and we found a new place that's barbecue, and it's wonderful. It's a beautiful setting, kind of in a hideaway neighborhood, and great barbecue. And I don't know, it was just a stumble onto and find it.
Are you going ribs? Are you going brisket? You going pulled pork?
Pulled pork with a baked potato.
Okay.
And a beer?
and a beer.
Yeah. That's my mama. She's got beer in hand. I love it. You're going red beer with the lime.
No, I don't have a red beer tonight. It's Dos Equis with a lime.
Oh, okay. Look at that. Yeah. She's getting all sponsors lined up for us.
If the Huskers would have won, it would have been a red beer, but
possibly. Yeah. Mama, we love you much. Thank you for the report.
Hey, I was happy to be on it, and especially happy birthday shout out to you. It's awful. You. It's special to be on your show on your birthday.
Well, 47 years young. I love it. So, love you, Mama.
Love you guys.
Appreciate you.
See you later.
All right. Back at you tomorrow with the Average Joe Sports Show, and talk to you at 4. Like and subscribe. Check out the YouTube channel, the Average Joe YouTube channel.